Brothers and sisters, we now have Dr. Mrs. Sarojini Changkakoti, who will share her wonderful journey with our beloved Swami. She was blessed to have been raised in the divine physical proximity of Bhagavan, and as a child, she spent most of her time in Vrindavan and Prashanti Nilayam receiving guidance from our beloved Swami. She is the founding president of Alva Wellness Center, a place that focuses on holistic healing, and she travels around the world conducting workshops and trainings on holistic healing. I request you to join me in giving her a very loving welcome.
Pranams at the lotus feet of our Swami. I would like to first say thank you to Sundar for having us here today on this auspicious day. These days I'm overwhelmed with gratitude for things that happen in my life. And for today, I'm grateful for my husband, my children, for my family, my friends, and all the ups and downs of my life. The tears, the laughter, the fears, the sadness, all those things that have made me who I am today. It's a time of life, sometimes when I reflect upon, even the sadness had a role to play. The laughters had a role to play. The fears had a role to play. Everything does have a meaning. And when you look back, it has been wonderful, a beautiful experience. And thanking Swami for that, the God within. When I talk about my life, I think about my parents, who were very, very dear to Swami, very close to Swami. They were amazing, very deeply spiritual people. Each one divine within, and they reflected in the kind of life that they led. It was indeed a great foundation for me to be their child. And my mother had a uniqueness about her, because when you have, our family was truly blessed, I must say, with the numerous interviews, visits from Swami, and of course, many, many, many experiences. And my mother had this special uniqueness about her. When we would have a private discourse by Swami, just for us. And if Swami spoke to her for more than an hour or so, and my mother would literally intercept Swami by saying, "Swami, this is enough. And many of your devotees are waiting outside. You need to go there." And Swami would laugh and say, "This is my real devotee." And me and my father were very attached to Swami's form, and we continue to. We loved all the pampering, we loved all the interviews, and we continued to go. And my mother decides to stop and stay home. And in return, Swami comes to visit her. So it was an amazing relationship that she had with Swami, to which to learn from. My early experience with Swami has been one of a lot of fun as well, because there were times, I like to share this, and Swami said not to share it at times, because I would have hardly any time to prepare for my exams. Our home was one of those which was always filled with people visiting us. It was almost, many used to call it a dharmshala, People would come, stay with us, find their life and then leave. At the same time, we would have many, many guests coming and living at our home. And it was partially an excuse that I'm giving, not that I could not have studied. I had an exam the next day or within a day or two, and it was one of my tough subjects. Although I was good in speaking, while writing I was not so good in Kannada, my language. And I have Swami come in my dream as the professor of Kannada and giving me the important questions to be prepared for. And in spite of those questions, I didn't have time to study. So just before that morning, I wake up and I remember the dream and I go through just those questions. This is the final exam. And when I reach my exam, it was the replica of the question paper my Swami had given me, which made me just scrape through. I have to admit my folly, because Swami does want you to work. So it did help me get out. That was one of those. But there are times where I have felt His presence so there, that moments just letting me know I am here with you. One such experience of mine, it comes to my mind, which I saw, was one with my mother. My cousin had come to visit us. This is in Bangalore, where we lived. And he met with an accident. And he was found by someone, and he was unconscious. He was in coma already. When his body was taken to the hospital, they found out he was related to our family, and they called us, and the doctors had given up and wanted his family, who was in Mangalore, to be informed to prepare for his last rites. So they had totally given up. It was beyond medical to help my cousin then. And my mother was there. And as a little girl, I still remember, she said, there is still hope. We have Swami with us. And she took a pinch of vibhuti from one of the packets which Swami had given. And I still remember the moment when she placed it on his forehead. His body shuddered. And next thing we know is that he recovered. Even now, back home in Mangalore, he's one of the leading advocates, lawyers, and of course, a total devotee of Swami. And I'm also reminded of one of my childhood habits I have. Sometimes I have it, but I have mostly given up, which is giving ultimatums to Swami. I hope, I know many of you might be doing it. I don't really recommend, but in this case it was really nice. This was a time when my father was away in Delhi, and it was a political period of time where he was an absolutely pure, noble Gandhian, living Gandhian principles. This was a period of time when his life was being threatened, and it was an emergency declared. And we got a message. This is also a time when there were no mobiles and no computers yet. So we lost contact with him, and we were informed that he was taken to the hospital and he was not well. And there was no way to communicate with him, and it really got us panic a little bit. And as many daughters are, I was very, very attached to my father, and I wanted somehow know how he is. So I went into the puja room, I closed the door, and I looked at his picture, and I told him, Swami, I'm giving you 1 minute. And this minute, I need to know how my father is. And I was waiting for the telephone to ring from Delhi or someplace to let me know how my father was. And instantly, there was fragrance, the smell of vibhuti, and the door opened. And I was looking, I just turned from the picture to look who was there at the door, and it was my mother standing. And my mother looked at the picture and told me, "Why have you splashed so much vibhuti on Swami's picture?" It was just not even a minute, maybe fraction of a second, my looking at, telling him, and then turning to the door and back, he had already responded to say, "Not to worry," and he was okay. So, innumerable experience of this kind, and in my life, one of the things I thought was the prayer. Prayer was my anchor and still is my anchor. And the word Sai Ram has created innumerable miracles in my life. One such was what I would like to... Actually, my husband was driving the car and children in the car. And in India, when there was a bridge under construction, we were on a long distance drive, and there was a detour. And this detour could handle only 2 cars. And there was already one truck that was there, and our car was just adjacent. Then came, back home in India, the truck drivers, they have their mind of their own. They feel they own the roads. And there was a truck coming in high speed in front of us. And all that I called out was Sai Ram, because it was almost like it's going to crash any moment. And I said, "Sai Ram," that's all I know. And the next thing, whether it was compressing of time, space, what happened was a miracle. Next thing we know, our car was ahead, crossed the detour, and it was back on the road. So things like that, many, many have happened, continues to happen. Prayer, in any way, for me it has always been the name of Sai Ram. It works wonders. It is a simple example, but I enjoy it because there was about 2 liters of milk being boiled in a big pot, and I had to take it from from the stove to the counter, and the whole pot dropped. And all that I could say was, "Sai Ram." And it was amazing to see the way how the pot just slides gently down on the floor, not even a splash. So I have no idea. I'm married to a physicist. My husband is a scientist, as you know. I have no answers. I'm sure neither does he have any answers for simple miracles like this. Swami as an avatar, greatest of saints, spiritual masters like Anandamayi, Shivabala Yogi, Karunamayi, Swami Satchidananda, they have all stated this in different words, but meaning Swami is the most powerful incarnation of God ever come on earth, and there won't be another at his level for another 60 centuries. Many masters already having achieved or God-realized souls declaring this. And I am always fond of Sri Aurobindo, who prayed and meditated. His earlier plan or intention was to raise the mass consciousness. He wanted to raise the mass consciousness to a level of divine awareness and consciousness. And on the 24th of November, that is Swami's birthday, a day after, he comes out of meditation and he says, "My job is done. I don't have to rise the mass into the divine state because that very divine consciousness in form has come into the earth. So these things, when you hear and know, re-emphasizes the faith, the trust we already have on Swami. And another beautiful thing which I read recently was of how a Nobel laureate from Britain stated in the International Sai Conference that the very energy of love has filled the planet Earth. And this energy of love is going to transform the mankind. One of the feelings I've had with Swami is, when we talk of energy of love, what I have sensed as a child and as I was growing up was the love of a loving mother, 1,000 loving mothers put together. That is the energy that you sense in his presence. And here I want to say, it does not make me any special than any others, because Swami is in each one of us. And he has his own way to convey his love, his message in our very life, every day of our life. When we talk of attributes of an avatar, our ancient scriptures talk of the cosmic characteristics that an avatar must have. And these cosmic characteristics are of splendor, being able to attract people, the power of creation, the power of preservation, power of destruction. And all these notice in the very incarnation of our Swami. Swami's aura, as you know, people who know of Kirlian photography, Kirlian photography is a kind of photography where the camera captures the aura of the person. And we have found out that Swami's aura extends, in one of the book I read, to 1 kilometer. Because this particular cameraman with his Kirlian camera took it to Puttaparthi. He had gone round the world taking pictures of great masters, great leaders, to see how their aura was. And when he came to Puttaparthi and he placed his camera in Prashanti Nilayam, it had a pink aura about it. So he kept on moving his camera, and finally it was about 1 kilometer where it stopped. So that aura extended till about 1 kilometer. Then he brings his camera back, waiting for Swami to emerge from his room, and there it captures a huge ball of light. And every time he extended his hand, there was that flow of that energy coming out of his fingers. And very presence was one that of loving, light and energy. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, whenever there is decline of righteousness, I incarnate to uplift and re-establish dharma, righteousness. And Swami, in his beautiful words, say, he himself said, the totality of divine energy has come unto humanity as Sathya Sai. This is a human form in which every divinity, every divine entity, every divine principle are manifest. That is to say, all the names and forms ascribed by man is Sathya Sai. Then he has a beautiful way to add to that. But you are also God. But you have forgotten that you are God. Swami, in every talk of his, I just fell in love even as a child to hear those words when he refers to us in any address that he does, any discourse. He begins with Divyatma Swarupulara, Prematma Swarupulara. He's reminding us again and again what is our true nature. Whether we are reminded or whether we realize it. We are that he has come to remind us to be. Swami also speaks of his mission. I come amongst you to spread Ananda, to correct buddhi, your intelligence. I have come to counsel. I have come to condemn. I have come to command. I have come to stand by as your friend, a well-wisher to all, so that we recognize the straight path of Dharma. Swami also emphasizes the importance of the right conduct and truth, our personal lives leading us to the realization of our true self. Many times people ask me if Swami is God. I was recently in a conference in Virginia Beach. I was addressing a group of all Americans except for one. Everyone else had not seen Swami. But they had that question in their mind, if Swami is God, like many do. I'm still in search of God at this moment of my life. I still don't know what God is or who God is. But since a child, what I was taught to be or what I realized and sensed to be are the attributes of the divinity, which is the omniscience, omnipotent and omnipresent. And these attributes I have in-depth experienced with Swami. His omniscience from the minutest of your thought in your innermost mind is known to him. I had a cousin of mine. I like to share this because there is a message in this experience of mine to all of us. And he was more of a critical, he looked at life and world with a lot of negativity. He also had this constant habit of reacting to people and world as it's not a good place and people are, very negative. They are, sometimes you say, good for nothings. This was a constant talk. So he knew we were going to Swami, and Swami generally blesses with interviews and blessings. That morning at 4 a.m, while shaving, he was asking me, does your Swami have an answer for me? I said, I'm sure he will. And we go to, and Swami blessed us with an interview, and in that interview he comes to me and says, "Yen sir, you yen heltare?" So it's in Kannada. What, sir? What does this one have to say? The world is a terrible place to live. So Swami says, yes, world may be full of thorns, but if you try and pick a thorn, your fingers get hurt. So what you got to do is to wear leather shoes and walk in this world, unaffected, unperturbed. You play your role. You be the nature who you are to be. So I use that many times in life, in my counseling profession that I do, is to realize that. It's very important for us not to try plucking the thorns, but you be who you want to be, but make sure to protect yourself. And when I talk of omniscience or omnipresence, each one of us experience Swami in our own unique way, where he makes his presence felt, where he makes us feel, I'm listening. But maybe there are times when we are disturbed by the fact, Swami is totally deaf. Swami just does not hear my cries. I have felt that too. Like I said before, Swami is that loving, loving mother. Many times our children, they might have a sore throat or a diphtheria and they demand an ice cream. And we say, no, this is not a good time for you to have an ice cream. You get better, and not one, I'll give you 2 ice creams. So Swami is listening to us. Swami is hearing every thought of yours. He senses it, but he knows when to give in the divine timing. One of the thoughts that come to me is where Swami, which I want to share with you all today, is Swami has said that his devotees, his students, are the torchbearers of his life's message. He was here, he is here, bringing us the message of love, peace, harmony, everything that is so perfect. And we who are connected to that divinity so intimately, it is time for us to question ourselves how ready we are to take this journey forward. And what is he asking us to be is again reminding us who our true nature is, what our true nature is. Looking within our own selves, knowing that we have the authenticity, we are the embodiments of that divine love. As we live this life, are we truly being that? This is the one other thing I ask in my workshops and class, that we have this habit of pointing fingers at others. We do this and say, this man or this woman or this relative of mine is this. And we ignore these 3 fingers now which are pointing at me and saying, hey Sarojini, look at yourself first. Are we doing that? Because as we take a step towards Swami, in our earnestness, because Swami says, every step that you take, I will take 100 towards you. Are we taking that step? To us, what we see within, our true authenticity is limited by our own negative thoughts. It could be the experiences that we have gone through in our life, the emotional traumas that we have gone through our life. And that is all true. We have every right to feel sorry, feel hurt, feel anger, feel guilt, rejection. Yes, we have gone through all that. Like Swami says very beautifully, to be a diamond, it needs to have many cuts. They can be very hard. To be a very beautiful jewelry, it is not of hammering. Yes, but it does make a beautiful ornament. And this ornament could be on your inner self. So, again I ask of all of you, as I do it as well, to see within and see, what are things I can let go of now? What is coming in the way of my looking into my own inner self and say, yes, I can look into the eyes of my own self. I have nothing to be ashamed of. Like I said earlier, it is fine what you are. But a time comes in our life when we have to let go of certain things. A time has come for us to release some of those hurts and pain instead of holding on to the anger, guilt. That is taking a step towards Swami, which is taking us a step towards our own inner self. And that is what is one of the messages Swami has given us. And as we connect to that inner self, miracles begin to happen in our life. And these miracles are profound. And this miracle end or lead us to the inner celebration of our own self, that is finding Swami in us. He's already there, recognizing the fact that He is in us, and the same Swami is in others too. Because of our own personal experiences or traumas we have gone through in our life, we fail to recognize that. I'm not saying that it's an easy task, but we can begin somewhere. I know all of you here are on that path. And a time has come now for us to move forward. Because with Swami working and setting these lamps of love in each and every one of our hearts, a time has come to celebrate that authentic self that we all are. As a part of my sharing with you all, I'll be taking you through a process of guided meditation. And for this, I would like you all to take a few deep breaths. And if you can, keep your feet flat on the ground. And take some deep breaths. As you take a deep breath, I want you to remember, this is the very breath that we take for granted. This is the very breath that allows our eyes to see, ears to hear, tongue to speak. Let us take a moment to be grateful for this breath. And as you breathe in, just let go and relax. Let us take a moment to connect to Swami, visualizing him inside of us and outside above, in that dimension of light, the very source from where we have all come from, the very source where everything is total love, beauty, and this light stands for everything that is positive and beautiful, like good health, love, harmony, serenity, tranquility, total health and beauty, and pure relaxation. Let's take a moment to pray to Swami, connecting ourselves to that divine power. As an answer to our prayer, just imagine a beautiful column of light coming and touching the top of your head and flowing all the way down to the tips of your toes and tips of your fingers. And this light flows further down from the soles of your feet to the floor below and further continues to flow to the center of Mother Earth. You're connected to Swami above, connected to Mother Earth, well grounded and centered in your breath. And allow that blessings and grace of Swami to flow and relax your entire body, relaxing the top of your head, your forehead, your face, your neck and shoulders and arms, your chest, upper back and lower back. And further flowing all the way down from your hips, thighs, knees, calf muscles, ankle and feet. Deeply relaxed. Now I want to be aware of the light in your heart center. You can imagine it to be a flame or a ball of light. Just being present. And I want you to imagine now this light, the very awareness of your authenticity, the very awareness of the divinity within you is expanding. And let it expand, expand beyond your body, and expanding the entire room and further expanding, filling this entire room and the building and going beyond the state, going beyond the states that you come from, expanding and filling this entire country and going beyond. Just let it expand. Let the awareness go beyond the world now and further let it expand the entire universe, the sun, the moons, the planets, the entire universe. And now I want you to pause for a moment and repeat in your mind, I am the universe. And may there be peace in the universe. May there be harmony in the universe. and slowly coming back from the universe, bringing the energy and blessings of the suns and the planets for your well-being. Bringing back into this world, and take a moment to repeat silently in your mind, may there be peace in the world. May every being in the world be happy. May there be harmony in the world. Slowly bringing your awareness to the country. May there be peace in the country. May there be abundance in the country. May everyone in the country be healthy, prosperous, and at peace. Slowly bringing your awareness back to the state, to this building, and to yourself now. Being aware of this light, charged with the energy of the universe and blessings of Swami. Now just take a moment to silently repeat in your mind, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I find peace, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I find peace. Just take a moment now to send this love, light and awareness to your immediate family and friends. Sending them this pure love. May they be happy. May they all be healthy, and may they find peace. This is a great moment, an auspicious moment. As we all know, we are on this journey of life, knowing, conscious or not conscious, whether we want or not, we are in this path, in this journey. And today, just take a moment. Focus on your mind, somebody who has hurt you. Take a moment to forgive that person, just letting go unconditionally. And you may say, I forgive you, or sending this awareness of wisdom and light that you possess to that person who might have caused you pain and hurt at some point of your life. Now you are letting go, and it is okay to let go. And also take a moment, being kind to yourself, to forgive yourself. We tend to be harsh on ourselves sometimes. Take a moment to say, I forgive you. And that is okay too. And if there is somebody that you need to seek forgiveness, this is a very auspicious time to do so. Seek the forgiveness of the person who you may at some point of time might have hurt, caused pain or grief. And as you forgive the person, you may sense a feeling of lightness all around you. Once again, be kind to yourself. Be loving, nurturing. We need to be that. We need to be in self-love, and this self-love helps us with our self-esteem, our self-confidence, to play the role that we have all come to play here. Once again, repeat in your mind, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be the torchbearer of the message of Swami in totality, being the torchbearer of all the principles and messages that I have learned and received and continue to receive and learn. Just be silent for a moment, feeling the energy. Just being present for your breath. And very slowly coming back to the moment, feeling deeply refreshed and energized, being grateful to Swami for this day and this moment. You may slowly open your eyes, feeling good. So thank you all. It has been a wonderful part of our journey, being a part of Sai family. Long back when Swami mentioned to me, looking into my eyes, in a very different circumstance, he said, I am sending you and your husband to North America, to Canada and to USA. You'll be received by Sai family. Our family is waiting for you. They will feed you. He said in Telugu, Annam kuda pettaru ma. So we feel that. We feel his presence every time we come for gatherings like this. And our youngest son is fortunate to be a part of this whole program. He's the one who played the tabla for my husband, and you will see him once again. So I once again take this moment to sincerely thank you all for having us and sharing some of our thoughts. Thank you.